Hola chicos, hoy es viernes 5 de marzo de 2021. Hoy tenemos para empezar, por favor, practice conjugating there for 5 minutes. That's a bunch of the verbs that we've been learning up until this point. So that'll be a good resource for you. You're watching today's lesson, bien hecho. I have a short 20-question quizzes for you, going over the yo forms of irregular verbs, and then your homework, you can check that out later. So today, chicos, I'm going to tell you a story in Espanol, and we're going to work on your listening comprehension. Es una fiesta. Es una historia de una fiesta. It's a story of a party. Y es una historia verdadera. It's a true story, okay? So I'm going to tell you it in Spanish, and I want you to work on your listening comprehension. Now, to tell this story, you first have to explain a few things. Or you first have to understand a few things, I should say. I am explaining them. Here is when I lived in Ecuador. This was kind of the house plan. So there was a house up here that my host parents, Juan and Myra, lived in, and I had a little host brother, Pancho, and a little host sister, Angie. You would go down the escalera, the stairs, and then underneath their house was like a separate sort of small building that was my room. However, if you went across this outdoor area, there was another small building here that was like a spare room that I never used. Okay, I think there's like a bathroom in here. My family never used this, but anyway, you go up some more stairs. My abuelos, my host grandparents, lived here. So it kind of my grandparents lived here, my parents and siblings, and then me. Now, when I say grandparents and parents and siblings, they're not my blood parents and siblings. Those are my host parents and siblings, okay? Okay, y ahora para empezar con la historia. Un día, mi cumpleaños, yo voy a la casa y mi hermano Pancho dice, Alison, ¿quieres bajar conmigo y jugar en tu cuarto? Y yo digo, sí, lo quiero hacer. Pues bajamos las escaleras y llegamos a mi cuarto. Yo juego con Angie y Pancho aquí. Mi madre Mayra prepara la comida en la casa. Ella prepara comida, se llama empanadas. Y mis amigos vienen a la casa principal y mi madre dice, ustedes necesitan ir a el otro cuarto, aquí. Pues mis amigos vienen a el otro cuarto, ¿sí? Después, Angie, Pancho y yo subimos la escalera y hablamos con mi madre Mayra por una media hora. Y mi hermana Angie dice, yo necesito ir al baño. Y después, mi hermano Pancho dice, Alison, Angie necesita ir al baño y yo también tengo que ir al baño. ¿Puedes ir conmigo a el otro cuarto afuera? Y yo digo, sí, puedo ir contigo. Pues Pancho y yo venimos a este cuarto donde están, lo siento, donde están mis amigos y ellos dicen, ¡sorpresa! ¡Feliz cumpleaños! Y ellos tienen globos y comida y nosotros bailamos y pasamos una buena noche. El fin. Alright, so that was my story to you guys in Spanish. How much did you guys understand? One word that I said that you guys probably don't know is pues. That's like if you're thinking and you are trying to say well or then. So I'm like pues, blah, blah, blah. It's like just kind of like how in English we kind of say or anyway. It's like a filler word, pues. So yeah, also I said a few words that maybe we don't know. Conmigo means with me. Contigo means with you. So Pedro said, ¿Puedes ir conmigo? Can you go with me? And I said, sí, yo puedo ir contigo. I can go with you. So hopefully you understood a vast majority of that story. Now we are going to move on to an activity called La Fiesta de Sorpresa. Like I said, this is my Papa Juan, mi mamá Mayra, mi hermana Angie, y mi hermano Pancho, y soy yo. Okay? So, this is an activity to fill in the blanks. We're continuing to practice with our irregular verbs, right? So, I say, mis hermanos blank, necesitamos ir al baño. Part of the story was they both said at the same time, we need to go to the bathroom, so that Pancho could lead me to the place outside, the room that was you had to go outside to get to. So how are we going to conjugate decir to fill in this blank? ¿Qué necesitamos hacer? Mis hermanos dicen, ¿sí? Mis hermanos dicen. Again, we can kind of think of decir as an E to I stem changing verb. In 5 of the 6 conjugations, the yo conjugation is totally irregular. Totally irregular. Alright. Pancho y yo blank de la casa. This is what a lot of the houses look like in Ecuador. You just live, like I said, you live either on top of someone else or below someone else or right next to someone else. It's a lot of houses in a tight space, especially in the cities. I lived in Cuenca. Pancho y yo salimos. Again, I'll write this down so we can see the spelling. Pancho y yo salimos. That's an IR verb, so we have to have an IMOS. What about this one? Mis amigos blank en la otra parte de la casa. Here, let me get my Spanish keyboard. Mis amigos están en la otra parte de la casa. Bien. We should be good with those at this point. Ellos blank globos. Ellos, this is an ER verb, so this is traen. This is one of those verbs that the only irregular part is the yo. Traen globos. Todos blank sorpresa. Again, this is kind of like an E to I verb, and we have an EN ending because it's an IR verb. Todos dicen sorpresa. Mayra me da, right? AR verb, so she gives una torta de chocolate y la pone en la mesa. 2 more verbs that you only need to have an irregular yo form. Lastly, los ecuatorianos blank más tarde que los americanos, pero los ecuatorianos blank más tarde que los americanos. Esos son los chicos y mi madre, Mayra, de una banda. ¿Sí? Yo toco piano, él toco guitarra, saxofón, guitarra, y él canta y él canta. Los ecuatorianos vienen, kind of like an E to IE. Remember, venir kind of is conjugated like tener. vienen más tarde que los americanos, pero los ecuatorianos salen más tarde que los americanos. Okay? This is kind of a cultural thing. A lot of times in the United States, we think that, time is money, and we have to be on time, and we got to be punctual. In Ecuador, it's a lot chiller, right? Yeah, the party starts at 7. Maybe I'll get there at like 7:40, 7:45. No pasa nada, right? No pasa nada is like, it's like nothing happened. Like, no worries. No pasa nada. So they definitely arrived later, but they left a lot later than my friends too, okay? Una muy buena cultura. Alright, now what my students in person are going to do is we're going to do a quick write for 5 minutes. Escribe una historia de una fiesta de sorpresa. La historia puede ser la verdad, pero no necesita ser. So we should know all these words. You're writing a story about a surprise party. The story, this might be a new word for us, la historia. The story can be the truth, but it doesn't have to be. So, really encourage you guys to do this activity. It just will take you 5 minutes. Just write something down in Spanish. One thing that I did when I was learning Spanish for the first time is I started writing a journal entry almost every day in Spanish. And one thing that was helpful is I used a lot of the words I knew, but every once in a while I would look up a new word. Maybe I really wanted to talk about, how my test went that day, but I didn't know the word for test. I would look it up. Okay, so doing this activity really is going to help you continue in your writing and processing the language. So whether it be writing this or writing other things, if you're serious about learning Spanish, that's something that you can do a little bit each day to continue to get better. And it's fun for me to look back on my journal and be like, wow, my grammar was terrible, right? But think that it's so cool that I was at least trying and was doing my best. So anyway, small encouragement for you guys. That'll help you get better and better and better. And the better you get, the better you're going to be able to connect with people like my host family, who, if I didn't learn to speak Spanish, I wouldn't have been able to talk to these two little guys, this little guy and this little girl. So anyway, hopefully that's encouraging to you guys that this is a practical class to be taking, and it's good to work hard. Alright, anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. The last thing I have for you guys is a quiz, like I said, before you do your tarea, which is conjugations. You can read the instructions on yourself for that. Adios, chicos, and I hope you have a great weekend. Buen fin de semana. Hasta lunes.